today's topic was actually the serenity prayer. For the ones that have forgotten how it goes like this: God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Paul, I've heard you talk about it before, but I think it would be interesting to hear a non-dual reflection on that once again, if you don't mind. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks everyone. And if you've been around the program or you're in it, you know the importance of the serenity prayer. I put it to great use in the beginning years because it would just be like a manufactured pause, so that the mental train couldn't pick up as much speed. This is the problem, right? We were coping with a lot of stuff, and our coping was a failed system. Now we're going to learn how to cope with stuff, and we're going to be following suggestions that actually work. So taking a moment and taking a breath and saying the serenity prayer, and I like the we version of it, like we just went, which is, it's just a beautiful, succinct statement, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So basically that's the serenity would be the opposite of being agitated, irritable, and restless, and then wanting to control, obviously. When you feel like something's out of control, you want to try to control it. You don't understand that which wants to try to control it is the out of control. But hey, you're going to learn sooner or later. You just have to, this is a thing. You hear stuff in these programs and they catch for you. Maybe they trigger something immediately. Maybe it takes some time or some repetition. But basically, it's almost as if the Titanic turns. Your life can turn and go in a good orderly direction. Yeah, which is going to be quite surprising to the head, because the head will still be playing the ritual role of the captain, but it's not running the boat anymore. It's not running the show. It narrates as if it is, but it doesn't. It's not making the decisions. The mass amount of decisions aren't based on self anymore. What are they based on? Suggestions. Yeah, suggestions who heard in the rooms, and hopefully from people who have followed those suggestions and have been brought to a new condition. So we follow suggestions that don't come naturally in our head. Just like when, I remember I was in there for a while in the program, and we had a place in San Francisco called the Dry Dock that was it was owned by individuals, but it was they held meetings all day there. So you would be hanging around waiting for a meeting to start. And of course, there would be people that haven't been really in the program yet, and they were telling you, how fucked they were, and it would go on for like 20 minutes. And then you would say, yeah, you're fucked. And then they would say, well, what do you suggest? And I say, go to a meeting. And that was their whole logic, and the whole rap for 20 minutes was not leading to a solution called going to a meeting. It was about, I got to borrow more money. I got to do that. I got to do that, do this. But the direction we find in recovery works. And when it comes against the problems cannot believe it could possibly work. But this is where you make a decision based on faith, and you just go into that meeting and see what happens. And some people have had 36 years that started at that first meeting. Yeah. And some people here have listened to suggestions, and those suggestions had turned into habits. And then the third step principle, that this power is going to be the director and you're going to be the directed, it's a living principle for many of us. And it works. It's just that simple. And where at one point we were struggling with the idea of drinking or not drinking, we're not struggling about a lot of shit anymore. Yeah. And just like someone came here today and he's in the program and he's been hoping to get this job, and it looks like he may have got that job. And now, just suit up, show up, and stay out of the outcome business. Yeah. Yeah. These things that we heard, they don't fall on tin ears, hopefully. If you stick around and you stay sober as the basis, this stuff's going to sink in and it's workable. And then you'll be able to finally tell the truth about what doesn't work, because you now have a substitute that does work. Who wants to know they're fucked, like it says in the 12 and 12, around the first step? Who wants to know they're fucked unless it's going to lead you to being unfucked? I mean, obviously, I'd rather stay oblivious to being fucked when it's a hopeless state of mind and body. But the beautiful news is it's a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. It can appear to you that it's hopeless, but it is not hopeless. Yeah. And AA for many of us is the way. It's not the only way, but it's the way that I've been blown in. And so basically we speak from here. Yeah. I'm not saying there's not other ways, but this is the way it's worked here. And I have an intimate experience of the problem and the solution, and I can share it. Yeah. And to me, we're sharing about the problem and its exact nature because I didn't hear it in the community of recovery that I was in. And when I travel around, I didn't hear it. And I would think it should be an incredibly emphasized idea. And I didn't feel like it was getting any play. And so we started our own meetings, to put it out there. Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. That's what brought about Zen Bitch Slap, the website. It brought about all this stuff because I found something, or something came through me that really worked, and I wanted to share it with people that had a similar situation than I had. Yeah, so the problem is the commonality, and the solution to the problem is a commonality. This is not a unique solution that is perfectly tailored to fit your personal circumstances, situation. It overrides the circumstances and situations. You're on a principle level. Yeah. A principle level doesn't take into consideration all the specifics of the circumstances and the conditions. It overrides that. This is why it's a principle. Yeah. It's not a principle just because you're feeling good that day. It's a principle of life. And we've been introduced to a way of life based on principle. And some of us have been following it. And now we're in the habit of being sober. Yeah. And we're reaping the rewards. I mean, the crop we're reaping, we don't even harvest anymore. The fucking fruit just falls off the tree when it's ready. You're not picking any shit up. Yeah. You're walking around, there's a fruit. Yeah. Oh, someone just offered me a job. I know so many people, their whole life is based on their coming into recovery. Their wife, their jobs, where they live, fucking their doctor, their insurance agent, everyone. Yeah. I mean, if you don't believe that's a fucking finely meshed net that doesn't let anything escape, basically, if you're just freaking a little willing, that is not my experience. I am not fraught with fear and anxiety. Yeah. I am not afraid I'm going to be taken over by the parasite at any second. I'm not. Yeah. Like it says, we're not cocky, but you're assured of the solution. It's time. This is an opinion, but one thing I used to hate at live meetings is when someone shares the glory of the recovery, but bookends it with, but I'm still fucked up. I'm still crazy. Yeah. And then we have a lady, Gladys, I think her name is, that comes here, and she's been living on a pink cloud, and she's going to make it her forever home, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. This shit doesn't end. It doesn't have to end. It doesn't have to be bookended by the problem. It can stand alone after a while. Yeah. Do you believe this is only a specific answer to alcoholism? If you've been sober for years and years, you've seen this principle overrides topics and categories. Yeah. Its value is very, very large, and it can be applied to a lot of situations and things, not just alcohol and drugs or food or whatever. Yeah. So the underlying cause and condition, the exact nature of the wrong, is the platform of this meeting. It's based on page 64, the third paragraph around, when it's just we're getting revved up to do the inventory. It says being convinced. It's one of the most important little statements in recovery. It's a requirement. It's a requirement for the first step. It's a requirement for a number of the steps. Being convinced. What? Yeah. Self. Yeah. Manifested in various ways. Yeah. Is what has defeated us. What? Yeah. So it seems they make a very clear distinction between us and self. Self is the first word of the sentence. Us is the last word of the sentence. And when self is the first, you're going to be the fucking last. Exactly. Yeah. So you could have it switched the other way. Us have now been, we have all now been relieved of the bondage of self. Yeah. So this is what recovery does. When you're looking at the problem, self is emphasized. When you're in the solution, us is emphasized. Yeah. Self is not emphasized. Self has been weakened sufficiently that you can live a day at a time, somewhat free from that act of being bound to it. Yeah. So self is very important to be clear about, and then its importance is going to diminish over time. Yes, because now you know its nature, which is foreign, and you have stopped calling its manifestations yours, and there you go. Now the emphasis is on us and we. Yeah. Yes. So, but if you don't emphasize self in the beginning, you're going to take self to be us. Yeah. And if the problem is entertaining the solution, it's going to make the solution very, very small. Remember when people thought God was working on them when they got a parking space in front of the meeting? Like it was a super valet? Isn't that insane? Did you remember if we did it here in San Francisco, the sponsor would say, hey, listen, I want you to write down what you can imagine it would be like after you've been sober a year. Yeah, just go at it. And then they would take it and they'd wait until you got to be a year. And then we'd have a little meeting and they'd go over the highest expectations you could imagine for yourself in the condition you were in. And you had shortchanged yourself unfucking believably. Life had given you so much more than you could have rationally expected. What more do you need as an example? You're looking through a very small lens of self-centeredness, and you're going to think you're very big, but your life is going to be very small. Yeah. When you become small, life gets big. You can't have you big and life big. It doesn't fucking work. Yes? Life needs to be the master. Yeah. So the problem, I feel, is foreign. We like to picture it flamboyantly, so we call it a parasitical movement. That seems to be how its effects are on me. And that thing seemingly took me over and used me for transportation, just like it took you over and used you for transportation. And with the form of transportation and the destination, it's quite obvious something has taken us over because many of us end up at the same 3 parking spaces: institution, jails, and death. Yeah. All supposedly leaving on a unique, very specially designed, trip called you, but basically you end up where we all end up. Yeah. Because you and we have been taken over by the same fucking thing. I call it a parasite. You want to call it demonic possession. I don't care. But if you can see its manifestations as not yours, you're on the way to recovering from its bondage. Yes, which is what we ask in the third step. We're not asking about not drinking. We're asking to be relieved of the bondage of self. That's what we're asking for. Please relieve us of this bondage of self. Now, so if we were relieved of something, that something mustn't be us, I would imagine. Yeah. Yet many of us, and in the community of recovery, it's passed on. I think it's a bit of ignorance, which is you're going to look at your resentments, your fears, and your harms to others. I don't believe they're yours, tell you the truth. I feel you are occupied by something, and that's something expressed through you, and you get left holding the bag. Yeah, it's just that simple. So this is the view. We come here every week to reinforce it. We have an open place. A lot of stuff happens here. Hopefully, it's a lot of support. Hopefully, we're playing the role of allowing a loving presence to express itself through our group conscience called this Zoom. I feel we are. And I hope you come out with something that allows you to be free from the bondage of self. Yeah, that's simple. So I go to meetings today. I still don't hear it. Yeah. I still don't hear it. I still hear people talking about their resentments, their fears, their harms to others. And they've been doing that for 30 fucking years. I think there's a relationship with the length that they're having resentments and with the idea that they're theirs. I see there's a correlation with fear lasting that long because it's held as your fear. I see a strong correlation there. I do. Yeah. A resentment cannot live that long. Your resentment seems to live for as long as you do. You must be giving life to the resentment. How are you giving life to the resentment? You're calling it yours. Yeah. Argue with me as much as you want. That's how I see it. I'm putting it out there. Check it out. Yeah. We give you a pair of glasses here. Look through them. Yeah. Do a 5-minute inventory. And instead of calling it your resentment, look at resentment. Yeah. It's the same thing. We just try to get over it millions of ways. We used to talk about the person with a tumor, and the tumor keeps getting larger. And the person has never entertained the idea that the tumor isn't the person. Yeah. So it just believes I'm a person with a tumor, and there's no separating the person from the tumor. Misunderstanding, but it's reinforced all day. So this person now has to tailor its clothes for that tumor, starts going into weird internet, forums where other people with tumors to meet people with a tumor, and on, and it fits its whole life around this tumor. And then one day it hears a message, hey, that tumor can be removed. Yeah. Now, you would think the person would be super jacked up that, hey, I can be free of that tumor, but now it looks in its closet and all its clothes are tailored to fit that tumor. Yeah. Everything is the way its girlfriend, has a tumor, all this stuff. So now it's stuck with a weird mental investment in having the tumor. Yeah. And so it doesn't, and then the tumor has jacked into the brain and it's telling the person, you can't get rid of the tumor. Yeah. So, but you can. This is the solution. There is a solution. You're not what has defeated you. That's part of the solution. Yeah. If it's you defeating you, then any day or every day there's a you, there could be a defeat. But it's not you that has defeated you. It's something else. And this program can diminish it. Yeah. It's called loss of interest in self. That is the diminishing effect of this program. you're going to lose interest in self and its little plans and designs. Yeah. This is everything pivots on the loss of interest. Without the loss of interest in self, your plans and designs are going to still seem big. Yeah. You're going to be in the outcome business. You're going to be trying to manage, control fucking everything. Yeah. And all the while, that which is doing it isn't you. Yeah. You've now given it carte blanche to fucking run this life. Yeah. Sober or not. So, yeah. This thing I got knocked over the head with this. I am thoroughly convinced. And I'll come here as long as people show up here for fucking ever. Yeah. I haven't heard anything better than this. All the people that, would want to talk with me. They never actually even talk to me. They talk to other people about me. But I would like to see them tell me, what's their view of it. Because one time I had a person here with a lot of time, and they were completely, we just looked at that sentence reluctantly. I don't want to do this when people come over for dinner. Yet it happened. And so there I was on page 64, and he was just vehemently saying us and self mean the same thing. And I said, well, let's pass the peas. Let's forget the talking. Because that's not how I comprehend the language of English. Us doesn't mean self. Us means something other than self. That's all. But no, it's us is the collective self. Oh, no, I'm not a believer in that. So, yeah. So here we are. We throw it out there. Doesn't change the direction of the inventory. It just changes one thing. Instead of all the descriptions of the disease preceded with the word my, we question that my, drop it for this little exercise, and just see fear, resentment, harms done to others. Not your fear, not your resentment, your harms done to others. Yep. That's all. Simple. See what happens. Yeah. Do you believe that there is something that produces a reluctance in people in recovery not to do an inventory, while every day everyone's doing inventories on others all the time? But when you suddenly have the option to do an inventory on your incredibly big idea and fucking plan, there's 8 months of dragging your feet. I believe it's the disease trying to block the cure. It does not want you to look at your role in things, because you're going to see its role in things. Yeah. And when you see it, you're not it. Yeah. When you see it, you'll get a very strong hit. You're not it. There you go. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's brought a lot of relief, and I mean stable relief. I don't mean relief that I have to do a lot of maintenance to keep. I mean a stable relief that you can tinker with stuff during the day, but there's no major overhauls going on. Yes. Yeah. I don't have to hyperventilate or whatever to try to change things. Yeah. So here you are. I'm here. You're here. Hopefully we're all sober. Go to page 64, read it. See if you believe self is us. Yeah. Because being convinced what? Self is what has defeated us. Yeah. All right. I hope you are. Yeah. Okay. That's it, bro. We'll open it up if you like.
All right, I see Grateful Dave has his hand up. Come on in,
Grateful
Dave.
Dave.
Hey everybody, hey Paul.
One more thing, Grateful Dave, before you say anything, people who have been here who leave, they have taken the message with them. So don't worry about anything. This may not be a lifelong place to stay. But when you came here, we have shared something, and that's that which has been shared is going along with you. All right.
Absolutely, absolutely, Paul. Like, I can't even say how often your words go through my head on a daily basis. That said, this is our 12-step meeting, and I had a stumble recently. Started out slow, using a psychedelic chemical, kind of went off the rails with, and because I'm an idiot and I like to think I'm special, and try to use every other way I can find to see what I'm not, I guess, or what I am. And then it ended with a night of drinking at the very end. So I just picked up a 24-hour coin 3 weeks ago, and just trying to get back on track here. So I just wanted to
You
share
are
that
on track here. You don't have to try. You're already on the track, and the train's moving, so you don't have to push it either. Just fucking do what we do and go where we go.
What was beautiful in this whole experience was that never left me. What I picked up here, what I picked up doing through step work, it never left me. But I was caught up in self really hard, and the oscillation from self to awareness, and the awareness, yeah. So I just wanted to share the cautionary tale and get honest with the group here, and I do want to be back, and I actually want to be more part of this community. I think I see in my relapse the holding back and the feeling of specialness and isolation that I can still practice in recovery, and feel not a part of the group. And
Yes.
I do feel a part of this group. I feel a part of this family, and yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Well, great, bro. And everyone's always welcome back to recovery, to this. And if you don't die, everything has value. Yeah. So, whatever it takes for us to be convinced, if you keep living, it's worth it. Because the being convinced is an incredible starting point. Yeah. It really is. So whatever it takes, as long as doesn't kill you, I think has value, truly. So it's nice to see you, Grateful Dave. And I'm grateful that
Nice to see you.
you're around. That's nice.
Thanks so much, Paul, for all you do. Thank you, brother.
And for me, it was obvious for a beginning in the time that abstinence was the key in this case. I couldn't flirt around. I couldn't tease that sleeping dog, because if it woke up, things would change. So, and sometimes that rigidity of abstinence, it's a very loose space when you're in it. That's what's necessary. You can't be, playing around the edges. Yeah. Yeah. Because once it gets a little whiff of something, yeah, it can really take off for some of us who have crossed the line. So I like abstinence as the key. I know people are trying to find new solutions because things are, so they're starting to look at hallucinogens and stuff in a more medical way, which is great. But as you just shared, it can trigger something that's not great. So, and again, this drive of always thinking it has to be more or quicker or better. Hey, Darlene, how are you? Hey, bro,
Let's just take it easy.
yeah, I'm working.
Oh,
Yeah, this is my work. So our landlady and landlord came in. And before I would have ran. Yeah, I would have ran when I heard them. You can see, like, you can face life successfully. A muscle didn't even move. Wow. So yeah, thank you, Grateful Dave, and Grateful Dave. That first aspect of your name is gonna go take you a long way. Being grateful is a real. It's like one of the most open postures for the embrace of the grace, so to speak. Yeah, some gratitude. So I'm stoked you're back, and I'm stoked that I didn't leave. All right, anyone else?
Yep. Hi, Linton.
Hi there. Thank you very much. Hey, Paul, how are you doing? It's very good to be here with you. I just love the fact that you say as long as there's people here, you're going to show up. You know, that's just the absolute gift of this. It's such a powerful thing, and I'm so very grateful to you. There was some stuff when you were saying earlier about it's about the principle. It's not about circumstances and situations and things. And it really reminded me. I did a step 5 recently, and it was really different from any other step 5 I'd done before because my sponsor didn't want to hear any of my shit. We sort of talked for an hour or so, and he said, "Right, you got anything else big?" And I said, "Well, you know, I have my big list I wanted to go through." And he wasn't interested. And he said, "Let's go back to the book." And it reminded me of what you're saying about page 64. And he showed me on page 72 how it says, "We admitted to another human being the exact nature of our defects." And he said, "I don't want to hear every single one of your fears and resentments. They've all got the same common problem.
Yes.
They've all got the same common solution. And once you identify the nature of the defect, then you've got one problem, one solution." And I can't tell you how big a relief that has been. And like sometimes I find myself just getting really worked up about something, and I just laugh because it's just the same problem with different, you know, it's got different clothes on. And coming here and listening to the way you share and the people here, and the sort of the approach here has really opened up such a different experience of recovery that seems so obvious, and so clear, and that I hear a completely different message that I haven't heard before, and it's really wonderful, and it's really lovely to see all these people coming together to experience this. And like you were saying, you know, before, I haven't heard a lot of this in a lot of meetings. And I think I was sharing the other day, I'm not a massively natural meeting goer. But since I've been coming here, I've picked up this message and I'm tuned into it in a different way. And that's a really beautiful thing. So I just wanted to say thank you, really.
And remember, the nature of the wrong, it's foreign. That's important. Yeah, if you think it's domestic, yeah, but it's foreign. It's a foreign, it has like a disease, no matter what you want to say, it's foreign. Yeah, something triggers an effect that came from outside or somewhere, and then we're under attack. It's important to recognize.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're gonna end. See that this is a thing that you run into a lot, if you don't mind. And this is what I went through with this idea of responsibility, because it's very important in AA to take responsibility. Yeah. So I feel when I was young, I was in a very, very misproportional sense of responsibility. Like if I walked into the first grade class and someone yawned, I thought it was because I walked in. Yeah. So I felt I was responsible for a lot of shit that I had nothing to do with. Yeah. And it was a weight. It was. And I remember when my father got ill and he was so ill, it was going to change the relationship with us kids. And I was the youngest, so he wasn't going to be able to play with me as much. And so they sat me down and talked to me about it. And I understood on one level, but my feeling was, what did I do to cause my father not to want to play with me? That's an inappropriate amount of responsibility. Yeah. So one of my big problems when I was growing up was this inordinate idea that I'm responsible for everyone, how they're feeling and shit like that. And of course, I wanted relief, and I went the opposite way of becoming completely irresponsible. Yeah. Yeah. And in a weird way, it worked. I got relief from the extraordinary responsibility, but obviously tons of consequences and other things else grew in that space. And so I come into AA, and basically, like most people today that are in a bar right now, they could do the first 2 columns of the inventory like that. They know who they're mad at and why. Yeah. But they don't have relief. The relief to them is another drink. But we have a different form of relief, which is the 3rd and 4th column of the inventory, where we leave the spotlight off the person that we resent and we look at our role in it. So we're now going back to responsibility again. Yeah. But it's not like it was when you were a little kid thinking you were affecting everyone. Yeah. It's going to be a wiser responsibility. And so, and then people sometimes when they talk about this presentation, they think, well, you're not taking responsibility anymore. And there's a fear in that. And I can see the fear can be valid, but it's inappropriate. Because really what you're going to see, because I did all the amends. Yeah. I didn't use this message not to do amends. I did all the amends. I did everything. And then I saw that that I'm accountable for what happened, but I was not responsible for what happened, which was incredibly different. Yeah. So in other words, my dog took a shit on the neighbor's lawn. I did not take that shit. So I'm not going to think about taking that shit for 30 years because I'm not going to think about my dog taking that shit for 30 years. I would only think about it if I took that shit. Yeah. So basically now, I feel there's another wave in recovery where after you look at your role in things and take responsibility is to see the accountability of what has defeated us. Yeah. Which is foreign to us. And I don't believe that wave had hit the shore of recovery yet when they wrote the book. It was only 4 years. Yeah. But now the shore of recovery has been built. Yes. This thing has been a massive event for 70, 80 years. And I believe there's another wave we've got to respond to. Yeah. And we've got to add it to the formality of the rest of the program. We can't keep living being responsible for the shit something else did through us. You just cannot do it. It's just not going to work. Yeah. And I think it's about time that there's going to be a shift in the format of recovery. And I'm hoping we're all playing a tiny little role in that occurring. Yeah. Now, it may not be for everyone, but it will be available to everyone in recovery. Yeah. This idea through us is going to be available to anyone in recovery who has moved to go to this point. We're not replacing everything else, but we're adding a possibility. Yeah. Yeah. So this is how I see it. I acted completely responsible for the shit, but I am not beholden to that shit because I'm only accountable for it. And my account has been fucking made up to date by my amends. Yes. I'm not going to be weighed down by a fucking big deficit because I was the one who did it 40 fucking years ago. No fucking way you're selling that to me. Yeah. Something took us over and did through us what we would not do for ourselves, just like the higher power takes us over and does for us what we can't do for ourselves. I humbly believe the other power did through us what we would never have done by ourselves. Yeah. Similar movement, but effects completely different and source of the effects different. Yeah. Distinctly different.
Yeah.
Not merging of the problem and a solution and getting a sort of a solution. No, seeing the foreign nature of the problem, yeah, and recognizing the solidness of the solution.
It's like a full 180 on the traditional approach, isn't it? Because I remember before doing a step 5 and going through that, my 3rd and 4th column and wanting an individual solution to each individual fear and resentment, and then an individual set of defects of character that me as an individual needed to then use the program to work on. It's just layers and layers of self adding to self, it's just nonsense. Yeah. And when you look at it as the mechanism of self just creating all this. The freedom is just seeing straight through this, see through the whole game, you know?
Yes.
And then they all come tumbling down.
Yes. And that's grace. Yes. That's the power that's greater than us, doing through us what we can't do through ourselves. Yes, that's the hand of grace. It's written all over recovery. Its fingerprints are everywhere. And this program does not turn into a self-help program. Yeah. You recognize the exact nature of the wrongs, and you don't specialize in all the specific items of the wrong. You see the exact nature of the wrong. Yes. You don't dwell on all the specifics of the wrongs. Yes. The wrongs become underemphasized, and the exact nature of the wrong becomes emphasized. Instead of what the self does, it emphasizes all the wrongs others are doing and everything else and all the fucking grievances and shit like that. So it underemphasizes your ability to see it. Yeah. So we're just turning the table on the problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, of course, someone wants to talk about every fucking one night stand. When I did a one night stands, I just went over one night stand because they were all the same fucking equation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because this was exactly how I was looking at the exact nature of the wrong, not going through the itemization of all the wrong. Yes. Yes. This is where you lose the tree, the forest from the trees. Yes. You're counting every tree, but you lose the sense of the forest. Yeah. So the exact nature of the wrong is foreign to us. That's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll see in your language, the language you're using, you're aligning yourself all day to that foreignness. You're calling its manifestations yours, its thoughts yours, its interpretations of feelings, your interpretations of feelings. We are basically living an interpretation in the act of being identified as self. That's what we're doing. Yes, at the expense of living life. Yes. Yeah. So that's it. Yes, and exactly what you said, like your sponsor said. Yes, you get to the exact nature of wrong. It's selfish, self-seeking, and frightened. Okay, you look at a couple of examples until you get the pattern. Then when you see the pattern, the examples become underemphasized. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you get lost in all the specifics, that's part of the problem. Yeah, this is how it fucking goes. It's like Dracula going on vampire hunts. Yeah. It disguises its Dracula-ness by going after vampires. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's humbly. That's what I say. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Great. Thank you. Thank you for
That's
that
cool.
share.
No,
And
thank you.
yeah. And we have no plan. We're not in the outcome business. A guy named David set up these Zooms. I haven't seen David in a while. So Zoom launched a boat, and he wasn't the captain, and the one who's on the boat is not the captain. And it's got its own movement, and it's going where it's going. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Very
So,
much appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Paul.
yeah, thank you. See you guys. Anyone else now?
Brian and or Liz.
All right, Brian.
Hey, Paul. It's Brian in Minneapolis.
Hey,
Appreciate
Brian.
you carrying the message here. I listen to your videos when I'm driving, and it helps me a lot. So I brought a friend who is new to recovery, Liz here, who has not heard this message before, and we didn't have sound at the beginning, so we kind of jumped in as you were already going. So I'm not sure how much she's following this, but I thought I'd introduce her to it anyways. But
Yeah.
the question I had is I know somebody who has a terminal illness, and they are doing this meditation program where they meditate for over an hour every morning, and they're focusing on the future to try to cure their body and attract wealth and abundance, I guess, to them. And to me, it seems like that's just reinforcing the identity of self. So it's Joe Dispenza is the person who's leading the program, and to my mind, it sounds fantastic and it makes complete sense, and he uses all this science to back it, and it sounds very appealing. But I was curious what your opinion is, if that's just another form of self trying to get out of self.
Well, it can be. See, but you never know, because this is a subjective experience. In other words, there's nothing real and solid. So it's the meaning we give it. So I don't know what kind of meaning is being given to this, but I do know when I was doing stuff like that without this understanding, there was a sense of being the one that was doing it. So I was in a bondage seeking for an unbounded condition. Yeah. So I was bound to this idea of self, trying to be free. That was my own take on it. So yes, that's how I see it. But, there's grace and whatever. Yeah, yeah. Remember, there's actions. Sometimes actions are used to bind you to the actor. Sometimes the action is not used to bind you to the actor. It doesn't work. The actions are just actions. There's nothing right or wrong unless they're right or wrong to you. Yeah. But it's what's happening with the action. If you're still taking every action to be your action, this was the dilemma of not recognizing the foreignness of the disease of alcoholism, because all the behavior you did under the influence, you still believe you were the one who did it. This, to me, is bondage of self. And the bondage of self has a lot to do with the past. And so now, in this present moment, a lot of us can be bound to this idea of being the doer of that shit while we were out there using and running around like crazy. And when you were under the influence, you didn't have much say about what was going to fucking happen. So I cannot believe you can live with this sense of being responsible for it 40 years later. I mean, to me, it's insanity. So I wish the person well, that's all I can say. And, I'm not in their shoes. I'm not in a life or death situation. I may be praying if I was, for wealth and stuff too. I don't know. Hopefully I wouldn't take it that seriously, but I can't say. So, but it's not, when someone is doing something, doesn't mean it's bondage of self. Yes. What happens is, it's because the doing is not the bondage. It's in the mental activity of being the doer. Yeah. So this isn't about stopping what I do. This is about stopping what we do when it comes to drinking. But in life, this isn't about stopping what I do or starting new things. That's part and parcel of living here. It's about, I'm not the one who's doing any of it. Yes. And so this is freedom from the subject. Yeah. I could go on and on. It would go into the non-dual stuff, but yeah, it's but I wish the person well, and I hope he gets everything they pray for. Yeah. But we're suggested to us in this program not to pray for ourselves unless it would be of use to others. Why do you think they say that? Yeah. There's a point behind it. They just don't say it to fuck with us. Yeah. It wasn't a suggestion that they actually put in the book. They knew what could happen, that the head would be playing God with the prayers. Yes. And the whole point of this program is to quit playing God. Now, quit playing God doesn't mean the playing God stops. It means you quit subscribing to that which is playing God. Yeah. So you quit that which is playing God. You don't stop playing God. You never were that which was playing God. Your head has been playing God, and your head will continue to play God. You will quit that playing God. Yeah. In other words, you're not going to be listening to it as much as you used to. So it won't be able to play God with you. Yeah. And you'll have what you would call a God in your life, not something that's playing God in your life. So I don't know where I get that. I don't know who that person is, dispenser. I've heard of him, but I have no knowledge of him, never met him. I hope he's being used to help people. That's great. But yeah, I don't think you're going to hear anything like that here. No. Yeah. We don't I believe after a while of being sober, you'll be called to what you're going to do. You're not going to be told what you're going to do. You're going to be called to it. Yes. And you're going to start following intuitive thoughts, and you're going to start having hunches, and you're going to start having feelings, and you're going to start relying on this new power flowing in, and you're going to learn how to face life successfully. Yeah. Yeah. So is that all right, bro?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I lost the topic actually. All I remember is someone was dying and they're praying for what why would they want wealth if they're passing away? You know what I mean? If I
Yeah,
was
that
passing
is
away, I would, like Jesus said, don't put your treasure where moth and whatever can get to it.
well, I believe the hope is to cure the condition so that he's no longer passing away.
Oh. Well, there's a time and a place for everything. Maybe it's time to pass away. Yeah. I've met people who passed away and they knew it was their time to pass away. We had a guy named Jim Cook he would be on these Zooms if he was still alive. But he was at peace with that part of the process, and it's a part of the process for all of us. We're going to pass away. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not his calling to stay. So this is why I would leave the direction up to something wiser than my little head that's playing God. Yeah, I would. I would hope just to take a pause and say, hey, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I'm open to observe your direction for me and take it from there. But he may be trying to forestall the greatest event of all, leaving. Yeah, it could be his head. Yeah. So these opinions I have. But I'm happy
All right. Well, thank you.
I'm happy to meet. And for Liz, all I want to say, Liz, if you're in the program, just go to page 64. It's concerning the fourth step, which is the first working step of our program. Yeah. The first three steps is just coming to points of being convinced. Yes.
Okay.
And then the third step is making a decision to turn over your will and life over to the care of something. Sort of like if your mother was very ill and she couldn't take care of herself and you are not where she lives, you would maybe put her into a nursing home, and that nursing home would care for her. Yeah, where she couldn't do it anymore for herself. So in a way, it's not, we're giving over the will and life. You're not giving over you. You're giving over the will and life to something and putting it in its care because it's been in something else's care and that hasn't cared much for you. Yes. So something has been using you and hasn't given a shit about you, literally. Yeah. So we're still under that domination. So we can't do it. So we make a decision. Yeah. To turn our will over to a care of something greater than ourselves. And what triggers the decision to have some oomph is the working steps, which is 4 through 9. Yeah. I don't know where you are in the process, but if you're in 1, 2, 3, don't worry about 4 and 9. Just get clear about the first step. Second step is an observation that something's working because maybe you're not drinking today. That's a pretty good fucking example of something working. And then the third step is a decision. And when you get to the fourth step, the first thing we're going to do is do an inventory on that which has defeated us. which is what's called self in the book. Yeah. Says it very clearly. And we're going to look at its common manifestations, not all of them, but the common ones that we look at in recovery are resentment, fear, and the pattern of harming other people in the pursuit of what we want. And we look at our old sexual behavior to see that. Yeah. We try to tell the truth about it. Part of the agenda or our life did it affect? And we try to see our role in things, and hopefully you'll see self's role in things. And what we're saying here is that self is what has defeated us. And we are convinced of that. And self is foreign to us. So what has defeated us is not us. You are not your own worst enemy. You don't hate yourself. Something may hate you, but it is not you. Yeah. And do an inventory with this view. And then the inventory will lead to a 5th step, and 6 and 7, 8, 9. And then you'll get to the maintenance steps, which is 10 to 12 to support the awakening that the other steps have triggered. Yes. And in AA, the solution to the problem is us being spiritually awake. Yeah. And the 12 steps are meant to produce that. And then the 12th step is the agenda of our collective community to practice these principles in all our affairs. And if you can't do that, limit the affairs for a while, and to help other people to achieve sobriety. Yeah, that's it. That's the program in a nutshell. So wherever you are, it's going to lead to the working steps 4 through 9. And this is where this is important, because you want to get a clear diagnosis of what has defeated you. Yes. And it says in our book, we got to get down to causes and conditions and to the exact nature of the wrong. And what we're saying here, it's foreign. So the nature of the wrong, it's foreign to us. So we can live quite well without it. Yes. It's not essential. It's not necessary. We can live quite well without it. Yeah. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring in a new employer and stop going to work for the old employer. Yes. So welcome. I hope the best for you, and I hope you stay sober no matter what.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks,
Because
Paul.
that's essential. Essential. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Saraswati put her hand down humbly, so I don't know if you have time for one more.
Yeah, I do. Bring it on, Saraswati.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. I've gotten inspired during this meeting. Thank you, everyone, for sharing, and Paul, for your words. I've been coming to this meeting to your meetings for a few months now. And the message definitely lands for me. And I do feel like I'm traveling lighter. What I'd like to share just briefly is that in sobriety for some number of years, I've still been really quite unhappy and really acted really selfishly, jealous, tense, even in your words, controlled by the lower power. And when I listen to your teaching and read through some of the materials that you refer to regularly, when I read the word self, and not like I really need to tease this apart, I'm not like hung up on self so much, but just to say, I connect with it more as being self-centered than truly like a definitive self versus I versus me versus you versus us versus we. All of that gets very, so I think what I'm just making a distinction about for myself and speaking to that is self versus self-centeredness or selfishness, which feels to me belonging to the lower power overall, the nature that is not helpful for me. And I guess I just want to share that I still struggle with feeling unhappy and tense after so much time in recovery and even receiving the message. And I think the last time we spoke in this setting, you invited me to just let it kind of shake off over time, just keep working with the message and just let the unhappiness or the selfishness shake off of me. But I have been in healing and recovery and on a spiritual path for a long time. And I am just, I don't know, disappointed or struck by the fact that I'm still tense, unhappy, selfish, jealous.
Well, maybe that's not you, honey. That's so you have a beautiful information and you can react to it or respond to it with a different message, which is it's not you. Not minimizing its effects or anything. It's just declaring that that is not you. Yeah. Simple as that. Yes.
It would be easier if I was like drunk or high, but it's just like when I'm sober, you know, and it's
Yeah.
tricky. I like only don't have anything to defer to, like, oh, it was this, it was that. It's just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. But you know, honey, too, if that feeling of unhappiness, you know, service is a great thing to take your
Yeah.
mind off of these things it loves to dwell on. You just get it busy, and then you'll forget yourself and you'll forget being jealous or whatever. And the person who you're handing the sandwich to isn't going to say no to the sandwich because you thought you were jealous earlier the day. Yeah. And you'll
That's
see at least this stuff will be seen in a different proportion. Yes. Because this is all emphasis and perception. This is a disease of perception. So we perceive things to be mountains when they're molehills. And if you're trying to change the landscape in the landscape, it doesn't work. If you just go out, do something, be available to others, you're going to feel the absence of that which is sitting on that egg of being jealous and trying to hatch a fucking person. That's a jealous person. Yes. Because that's what the head is doing. It's the head is using the attention and interest to sort of heat up the incubator. Yeah. And then it cooks this shit up. And then you're stuck with, I'm a jealous person. No, you're fucking not. You're not even a person in a way. Yeah.
no.
Jealousy comes through, greed comes through. But if you keep calling them yours, more and more of it will express through you. Yeah. So this is the point. So if you feel like getting bummed out and stuff, just do something. Do something for others. I always used to, people would be blown out when they would tell me some shit. And I just go home and watch Bloodline on Netflix. Yeah. Get involved in the story of John and Bill, not Paul, which is you. It's just like you're already on an episode of Bloodline on your own fucking private channel. So just go to fucking Netflix and you'll get some relief from Paul, the story of Paul in its own bloodline. Yeah. This is the beauty of it. And if it's written well, it's going to be written better than the shit you're listening to about you in your head. And your attention and interest will be drawn into that show. It works. I used it after 2 knee operations. I watched Bloodline, season 1 and season 2. It worked. I couldn't get out. I couldn't go anywhere much. So there I was. Do I want to watch my head go over Paul on Bloodline episode 52 or something? I mean, year 70? No, I'd much rather watch something. They look better. and the writing's better than the head. So service to me is that feeling of unhappiness. I think the immediate balm, the BALM, is service. Yeah. Because something is adding to the unhappiness by dwelling on it. Yeah. You want to send that around the corner, I feel. Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
hear you. Thank you so much. That was
Yeah.
great. Really great.
And,
Great
you know,
content.
your unhappiness, it's not yours, but the unhappiness motivating you to be of service is helping that person get a sandwich. So everything's put to great use. Yeah. Even what you think is a drag is maybe motivating you to do something. Like, yeah. Yes, you know, we're very myopic. We're blind, really. And we're refusing to, put our hand on the brow. We just fucking, even though we're blind, we just keep swearing we see everything. Everything. We don't. If you keep bumping into fucking furniture, you're not seeing well. So, yeah. Thank you, Saraswati. Thank you for taking, the sharing with us. This is part of this Zoom. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. If we don't have anyone else, I'll just start saying goodbye, eh? Brian and Liz. Liz, good luck. And Brian, good luck. Yeah. Martin, thank you, Martin, for running the show. Kerry, as always. Linton, thank you for that share. Grateful Dave. Nice to see you again, bro. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Florida, John, Mickey, Matriarch of Madera, Kaiser, Texas. Kaiser and Texas just don't seem to go together for me, but hey, it's all right. Axel, Munich, that I can understand. Melody, nice to see you, Melody. Yeah. Kathleen, Smitty, yeah. Jay, A. Cindy H. Terry Camarillo, Michael Stacy, the mayor of Madeira. Yes. Joseph C., our man in France. Saraswati in Asheville. Sean, Minnesota, picking up eyes and ears for people who cannot see and hear. Roman Mueller, as always. Heather, our resident magician. Nice to see you. Jeffrey, Seattle. Oh, we got him. Chris B. Nice to see Chris. Amy in Seattle. We got Darren. Nice to see Darren. Sean, we got him. I think let's see, everyone. Oh no, Fletch, Paula, Ben. I just saw someone. I lost him. Jeffrey, iPhone Mia down in San Diego. Everyone, thank you so much, man. Remember, there's a loving presence that's expressing itself through our group conscience. Yeah? Hallelujah. See you guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. See you later.
Guys.